I'm Kim Sedgwick.
And I'm Amy Sedgwick of Red Tent Sisters
and ecosex.ca. Today we're answering a question about anal sex. So the question is, does anal sex hurt? And we actually had a similar question from someone asking whether it was something that was actually pleasurable for women. So we're going to kind of answer both of those questions together. So the answer is it should not hurt. And I don't usually use the word should or should not or right or wrong when it comes to sex, because I always say it's whatever's pleasurable for you. But in this case, there really is a right and a wrong way of doing it. Yeah. And I'll just start with a little story from my first experience having anal sex. Was a guy who decided he was just going to subtly slip it in there. And I shouldn't say slip, because slip would imply that there would be lubricant, which there was not, which is definitely rule number one when it comes to anal sex is you must use the lubricant. The anus does not self-lubricate. So it's the way that you're going to get tearing and for it to just generally not feel good. So yeah, this is not a time to just try and do something spontaneous without communicating with your partner what you're going to do. So the lack of communication, the lack of lube, and then the fact that he kind of just rammed it right in there without any warm-up, all big no-nos. So anal sex should not hurt, and those are the ways to make it not hurt, is to go very, very slowly, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Go slower than you possibly think you need to go. Not just with the actual insertion, but with the warm-ups. There should be lots of other things that happen before you actually put a penis into the anus. Yeah. So playing around with the anal opening with the finger or with the toy. We just love this cute little one called Pip. Could this not be any more adorable? And then, as I said, adding lots and lots of lubricant, and then maybe using a finger. So you never want to go from 0 to 100 without lots of steps in between. And then again, as I said, the communication is so important, so that you're talking to your partner throughout the whole process about what's working and what's not. And then around the question around, is it pleasurable for women? I think that's a great question, because unfortunately it's often depicted as something that women do for men. I hear it talked about as this special thing I'm going to do for him for Valentine's Day or for his birthday or for whatever it is. So it's really set up as something we're not going to enjoy. So I think it's understandable that women are not keen to try it.
Yeah, and often I think our first impressions of it, I know for me, the first time I was exposed as a teenager to the idea of anal sex was in movies like Prince of Tides. There's a rape scene, and then later in Leaving Las Vegas. And so both of my first impressions of anal sex had to do with rape, and it was just horrible. So it was actually a book called Memoirs of a Beatnik,
which then I read afterwards on your recommendation.
Diane DePrima. It was something I read when I was living in California briefly with my now husband, but we were there for 4 months. And she talks about anal sex in this book, which is a memoir, and she talks about it as this exploratory, really exciting thing. And I remember thinking, really? Why would she do that voluntarily? And then I started, we played around doing some anal play, and then I discovered that I really liked some things about that. And, it can be really fun. And for women, it isn't another erogenous zone.
Exactly.
So as long as you're doing all the things that Kim mentioned, you're doing it with a partner who's supportive and doing things in the right way and going nice and slow, it can be incredibly sensual and pleasurable. For sure. Yeah,
and I guess the other thing to add to that is hopefully the tips that we've shared with you today will help you feel more comfortable, but I really think that knowledge is power, and so if you feel like you're informed and you know what you're going to do and you have ways to ensure that it's going to be pleasurable, then your body's going to be more relaxed, and then you're more likely to enjoy it. Because that's the other thing is if you're nervous, it is very likely to be uncomfortable because your muscles are going to be tight, and then it's going to be painful.
Yeah. If you're not wanting to do it, there's no way it's going to work. I had definitely tried anal play with my husband before reading that book, and I was doing it for similar reasons that you mentioned. Thought that he would like it, was feeling a bit of pressure to try it. Did not work at all.
Not a good setup for a good time.
It's not a good setup. You need to feel interested in it.
Yeah.
We have some great videos, instructional videos.
Tristan Taormino has a whole series of videos around that, so I'd say that's a great way to go, because not only are they educational, so they'll give some more tips, but it's also women enjoying it, so I think it helps to confirm the idea that it can be really enjoyable for women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, well, thanks so much for the question. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.